Hello everyone. We have with us today Dola Halder. She is the brand head of Doritos PepsiCo India. She is an alumnus of SRCC and IIM Kozhikode and has been working in sales and marketing for the past 7 years. Firstly, thank you for this interview and it's a pleasure to have you on board.
Pleasure.
Yeah. I would like to start by asking you, how has the marketing landscape changed over the years, and how do brands adjust to these changes and keep themselves relevant?
Sure. So, I think it's a very straightforward response. All of us are in the fourth revolution of industrialization. And the biggest boon of this revolution is the fact that data and digital, they're hand in hand. And they've allowed marketeers to be super powerful. For example, let's say a new TikTok challenge has come in and it's just suddenly become a rage. Now, if as a brand you want to participate, then not only do you have to have your creative ready, but also have it approved through all the relevant stakeholders. And all of that has to be done in no time, like in a few hours from the challenge. Otherwise, it's gone and there's no point now being a part of that moment. So hence, it's a lot of back-end reintegration of how really does a brand work, how are the different agency partners and different sets of teams, cohesively attached. How much more are you clear of what your consumer is?
So my next question is, what should a marketer have in himself to have an edge in this competitive world?
As your consumer walks in and walks out through different modems of media and of life and leaves you with information about her or about him, that information at the same time as it's a power, it's a huge responsibility. The better marketeers are the ones who are able to leverage that information well, to reach out to the consumers in a far interesting, however, true to the brand manner, and who are able to do that consistently. I mean, if I were to give an example of a non-competing industry, let's say Amul, what they've leveraged beautifully is that they've templatized a way in which they will communicate. And if you notice, at times most of their campaigns don't even talk about the brand.
Yeah.
But the template is the power. No matter where it is, no matter in what topic it's talking about, whether it's politics, whether it's sports, whether it's natural catastrophe, whether it's psychology, anything, you will always be able to relate the brand, and the brand will always be central to that conversation.
Yes.
So I think that's the key. Cracking the usage of the information that your consumers are leaving with you in a very, very meaningful manner and doing it consistently such that it becomes habit to you and to your consumers. I think that is the edge that a marketer really needs to bring in.
Okay. So in today's day and age, we have legacy brands and we also have the new brands or the millennial brands. So what is the key difference in their marketing strategies that you see?
When you ask me to specifically differentiate between marketing approaches of an older large-scale brand or a newer, a nascent brand, I think it's more about who they reach out to, and not so much about how old the brand itself is. I would say the approach, the communication, the messaging, the media is used to disseminate that message, the amount of money involved, all of that is a function of whether your consumer is really a mass audience. So are you a brand who is supposed to reach to a village in UP as much as you're supposed to reach a posh locality in South Delhi? Versus if you're a niche brand who is consumed in certain specific occasions by certain specific people, let's say, for example, a very prescriptive medicine which is only used by a certain population at a certain point in time. It's not an impulse product. It will not be randomly bought off shelf. And it will not be randomly bought by anybody else. Okay, in there, wherein your audience and need of occasion is very, very specific, your channel of communication and all of those that we just talked about will depend upon that. So to summarize, I think it's not so much about how old or new you are, because that's the power of the fourth revolution that we are in. It kind of gives a huge playing field to almost everyone. But it's more about who you are trying to reach and how different are they. And accordingly you change the way you talk.
Okay. Yeah. So, why is cause marketing such a race these days? And I would like to ask you, like, what are the best practices for a brand to be associated with, such a cause?
Well, you've rightly put. I think after moment marketing, the next big buzzword that I at least reckon with in today's world is the whole, the whole fancy with cause marketing.
Yeah.
So, if the differentiation is not really that sustainable over long term, then what else do I hook on myself onto? That's where the power of emotional connect comes in. This is also a function of number of years a brand has been in the market or how mature the category you are in. For example, if you talk about a new brand and a new category, for example, let's say when Swiggy or Zomato probably would have come into the market. At that time, they were not only explaining what Swiggy or Zomato is, but they were also explaining what online ordering is, because that category was new. So at that time, just functional benefits were more than enough to hook people to use them. Now, as they are progressing, and at least let's say the top markets wherein mobile or online ordering of food or beverage is not that big a thing or not that new a thing, they will have to up their game, and now they no more can talk about, let's say, differentiation, because brand number A is providing cash on delivery, is also providing, let's say, 20 minutes delivery, is also providing, let's say, cashbacks. And so is the brand too. So how much more can you build on the functional aspect? So the differentiation is not as much anymore. Hence, you will have to up your game from the emotional connect perspective. And that's why you would see advertisements like the recent Swiggy campaign on how we call the delivery guy always a Swiggy and not really the guy's name. So why do you turn those campaigns out? Because that connects you to the audience far more intrinsically, and hence allows for a better brand awareness, brand recall, and all those metrics that we talk about. I think that's the idea of cause marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dola, thank you for chatting with us today. I am pretty sure that all the people watching this will benefit from this.
Loved it, and all the very best to all the viewers and to you guys as well. Okay.
So now it's time to unveil MarkUp's MarkUp's annual marketing magazine. The theme for this edition is Millennial Marketing, under which we have explored two avenues, Vogue marketing and the art of integration. Witness some thought-provoking and interesting articles. Go grab your copy now. Ma'am, this is for you. We'd
Thank
like
you.
to present you with magazine.
Thank you.